friends. So I am going to show you guys how I made my Flemeth armor my armor, and also her gloves, her glove armor, which I 3D modeled and printed. It's very exciting. Yeah, so let's just go ahead and jump into it. So first, as usual, I wrap my arm in a clear wrap and masking tape to make a pattern for the armor. Once I cut it out, I put it onto some patterning paper, and then I put it onto my 6mm foam. I know it says 4mm, but I use 6mm. I do that a lot, where I think I'm going to use one size and then I end up using a different size. To get these cool little edges in my armor, I cut out channels. I cut out channels of the I cut out channels, and I do that by holding my blade at an angle on both sides of that line that I marked down the middle, and I just pull out the insides. It's very fun, very satisfying. Next, I heat up all the channels that I just made and I bend them into shape. Before gluing, I actually mark out where these holes are going to be, which are used for the attachments. She also has these like raised bits around the attachment holes, so I'm just putting some strips of foam here. So now I can put barge in the channels that I made and then press them together and make those edges permant is what I wrote, apparently. Permant. They're the edges. Here I am making those things that go on the outside of the arms. I have no idea what they are. They're on her leg armor as well. Arm shields, elbow shields, I don't know. Anyway, I use a combination of 4mm and 6mm foam to create the details on the armor. And then I used some googly eyes as the rivets, as one does. For the wrist armor cuff, I cut out 8 pieces of 6mm foam, each of them beveled on one edge to create these very sharp angles, and I just glued everything together. It's a bit bigger than my wrist is, and that's just so I can fit it over the bracer. For the edging, I used 6mm foam beveled on one side, and then I just glued it onto the cuff, and it makes some cool edging. And here's how everything fits together. It moves really well. I have a lot of arm movement in this, which is very nice. After that, I took my soldering iron and I burned these little marks into the armor. Make sure to do this in a well-ventilated space with a respirator. I then heat up the foam one more time to seal it and further open up the battle damage that I just made. Next is the finger and hand armor. I finally got a 3D printer and I decided to try my hand at 3D modeling. Yeah, so I tried 3D modeling my own armor, and I learned a lot. They turned out okay. I mean, it works. I followed Kamui Cosplay's husband Benny's tutorial. I absolutely feel like I should have paid for that tutorial. Like, it helped so much. It was amazing. If only they had books to sell for cosplay. I have no idea what I was doing. I'm surprised that they even turned out okay. But, and they fit my fingers too, which is awesome. I kept the bottoms of them open because I like to use my phone at conventions. Anyway, so I made the fingertip, the mid finger armor, upper finger armor, knuckle armor, and plates for the top of the hand and for the outer thumb. Gave it a quick sand, temporarily glued them into place on a piece of cardboard using some tacky glue. This is just so they wouldn't fly away when I plasti dip them. And I battle damaged them with my soldering iron, and I primed everything with 3 coats of plasti dip. I used a pretty rough bristled brush to dry brush on a few coats of silver paint. Tried to do this as messy as possible. I do want it to look very beat up, old, and weathered. As I build up the layers, I do brush in one direction instead of all over the place just to make it look a little more like steel, I guess. After all the coats are on, I take some very dark brown, black, almost black paint, and I dry brush some more weathering and anything that would be worn down or gather up dirt over time, where the attachment points are and where the plates are all going to rub together. I also like to focus on the bottoms of the piece, like this cuff right here, because it just makes sense, because like if her arms are down at the side all the time, I feel like it would just gather up more dirt because gravity. I don't know. I try to make things make sense, and I really don't need to. So I sewed these little gloves by myself. They're just black 4-way stretch fabric, and then I hot glued all of the little hand pieces on. And I really like how they came out. My first models and prints. They're so much stronger than foam, so I will definitely always be 3D printing finger armor instead of making them out of foam. These things that I am scraping up here are the finishing touches on the bracer and the upper arm armor. These will help reinforce the strap holes and keep the foam from ripping. I also modeled these myself, but they're just rectangles with holes in them, nothing special. And they work quite well, so yeah, I'm very happy with them. I used some leather straps and metal buckles to strap everything on. That's about it. Nothing too special with that. There's also a little bit of Velcro on some of the arm pieces just to keep them up. I mean, I'm sure they do just fine on their own, but just in case, I always like to throw Velcro on things, just in case. So yeah, I surprisingly have a lot of movement in this, and I think it'll be pretty comfortable at a convention. So that's it for this video. Only one more Flemeth video to go, and then she'll be done. I'm so excited. I have her packed away in a plastic tote right now. She's ready for a convention. So yeah, no regular outro today because it's currently New Year's Eve. But I hope you guys have a wonderful 2022. This year went by so fast, it was crazy. Have a super awesome rest of the day, and I will see you guys in my next Flemeth video.